So, I just saw Christopher Nolan's new movie, Oppenheimer. And overall, I really loved it. Of course, I'm going to do a spoiler free section and a spoiler section later on, and I will clearly clarify when I'm going to go into spoilers. But non spoilers here. Cillian Murphy's great. Cillian Murphy disappears into the role of Robert Oppenheimer. And Cillian Murphy is one of my favorite actors of all time. I've loved his work in all of the Nolan collaborations he's done, as well as Peaky Blinders. That's where I really grew respect for him, is watching Peaky Blinders. He was fantastic in that. And this is an Oscar-worthy performance for Cillian Murphy. And I'm calling it right now. Cillian Murphy is getting Best Actor for the Oscars. I haven't seen a performance that is better than this right here. But honestly, I hope to be wrong. But at the same time, I want it. I really want him to win Best Actor. He deserves it. It's long overdue. And Robert Downey Jr.'s character, Louis Strauss, Robert Downey Jr. could be nominated for Best Supporting Actor. He is very good in this film. And since, I believe Sherlock Holmes, he hasn't played anybody besides Iron Man. So it's very nice to see Robert Downey Jr. actually being in a role where he's not playing himself. And I understand Robert Downey Jr. is different than Tony Stark. There are several nuances there. But with this, he has the face. Like, you see, that's clearly Robert Downey Jr. But when you watch the film, he disappears into the role again. Like, all of the people in this film disappear into their roles, and you can barely tell it's them because of how good they are, and of course how good the makeup is and stuff like that, and the numerous other supporting cast, that being like Emily Blunt, Florence Pugh. Standout is Emily Blunt. She has a scene that's absolutely incredible. Jack Quaid's in it. Gary Oldman. I just forgot his name. He's the general in Dunkirk. Kaufman. Whatever. He's the old officer in Dunkirk. But Matt Damon, like all the supporting cast is very solid. Gary Oldman comes out of retirement for this. And the Trinity test, it's done in a very artistic way, and I loved it. And that's all I can really speak about in terms of, like, not going deep into the narrative or whatever, because it is, of course, based off of the book American Prometheus, and that theme definitely goes throughout the film, as the first part of the film is definitely the race against the Nazis and what it's marketed as, and then after the Trinity test, it goes into a different direction. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But there is some nitpicks. I will say that there are some nitpicks that stop it from being a perfect film, but it's very close. It's very close to being a perfect film, and I absolutely adored this. I'm going to be seeing it again. I've already just I planned to see it again before I went to the movie, but now I am going to see this again. Like, hands down, I'm going to see this again. And I went to a great theater, Cinemark 14 in Mishawaka, Indiana. it wasn't no 70 millimeter IMAX or whatever, but it was fantastic. It was a fantastic experience there too, and this will be one I'll remember for a while. But yeah, winding down on my spoiler-free thoughts. I still give this a 9.5 out of 10. I initially, during my out of the theater reaction, gave it on my TikTok, of course, gave it a 10 out of 10. I've thought about it some more on the drive home because it's about half an hour or so. Had a decent amount of time to just think about it, and yeah, it's a 9.5. It's not a 10. As much as I wanted it to be a 10, it's not a 10, but it's very close. It's very close. But now we're gonna get into spoilers. So watch the movie, come back, or if you don't care about spoilers, then keep watching. But yeah, spoilers incoming in 3, 2, 1. So I really loved the way Nolan told the story in very much how books do, and I like this about I like the structure in books where they have a central idea, and throughout the course of the film it keeps going back to that, like how how Oppenheimer is quite literally the American Prometheus, and of course since the film's based off the book, that's kind of the ongoing theme, is that he gave us, the US, the ability to destroy ourselves and stuff like that, and how does a person deal with that kind of burden, and that's basically the latter end of the film after the Trinity test, and the Trinity test is kind of that shift. But I really liked how it's very immersive the way it gets us into Robert Oppenheimer's headspace. Because according to Nolan, which I kind of disagree with, and this is my interpretation, I don't take my interpretation as fact at all, but I interpreted it as he says the color shots are subjective, meaning through Robert Oppenheimer's subjective lens, and the black and white shots are objective. But I don't think they're necessarily objective. I think they're subjective, but not of Robert Oppenheimer, because they're through the lens of Louis Strauss, who is, of course, Robert Downey Jr.'s character, and who is overall the villain, if you can, I'd say antagonist. There's no villain of the film. It's really just chronicling Robert Oppenheimer's, I want to say it's like 30 years, because by the end he looks right around that interview of the I Am Become Death, Destroyer of Worlds, which I was very impressed that, and again, full spoilers, just a reminder for some of the people that are catching on. I was very impressed Nolan did not do the I Am Become Death interview. I was impressed, but not surprised at the same time, because that's what a lot of people know of, is that quote of I am become death, I am become death, destroyer of worlds. And that also comes to one of my gripes about the film, is that how, because we all know the story about when Robert Oppenheimer sees the Trinity test, he automatically the first thing that comes into his mind is the quote, I am become death, destroyer of worlds. But it has the ADR of the quote. But throughout the whole film, that's the only instance of that, and it felt very awkward, to say the least. And it's a great moment, and if you know the history and the context of the situation, you completely understand why. But I'd understand if people who don't know about Robert Oppenheimer, and you hear that quote, and it comes up previously in the movie because Florence Pugh has him read the scripture, that specific quote, out of the Bhavagadi, Bhavagita? Ba, Bhagavad Gita? Or I had it a few minutes ago, guys. But you know the Sanskrit. Um, she has him read it, and then it comes back to him when he sees the Trinity test. And again, it just took me out of the film just a little bit because of how jarring it was and how it wasn't already. It's the only instance of that where you really, it's the only time you really see like his consciousness of thinking in terms of words in his brain, because we do get a lot of scenes when when the scientists are discussing stuff, and specifically when Oppenheimer is discussing stuff, use like when he's going over like the possibility of, and this is in the trailers, the nuke just having a chain reaction and not stopping. You get a visual of those reactions just non-stopping. And it's several times in the film where it's like him visualizing quantum mechanics and stuff like that. I thought it was a very cool way to have us get to know Oppenheimer by seeing what he visualizes on a daily basis. And it's, again, nice little camera trick there. I hate to call it a camera trick because I feel like it kind of downplays it. But, and then when Oppenheimer is feeling, especially in the latter half, I'm gonna coin the repentance half of the film, where he's kind of where he knows what he's done and can't put the genie back in the bottle. You get when he's feeling like a big ball of anxiety. Nolan does this thing, and Cillian Murphy plays it brilliantly, where he just stares into the camera, and then it just zooms in on him, and then it has the camera shaking like this a little bit, and it's a very cool kind of device that's being used, and again gets us more into Oppenheimer's head. But the only real gripes I have is that I am become death thing, because again, it's the only instance of that. And I understand why it's there, because you have to tell that, because that's what every single person who has ever heard of Oppenheimer heard, that story. So you have to put that quote in somewhere, and you have to tell it during the Trinity test, because it's that important to the overall character of Oppenheimer. I understand that. It just felt a little jarring overall with the overall course of the film. That's just me, though. And also, the other thing that I never really thought about, but I did after watching other reviews, because I'm a review-aholic. I love watching people review things. I love reviewing things, ironically. But I saw Sean Chandler pointed out in his video where there's this scene where Robert and Kitty hand off one of their kids to one of Robert's colleagues. I don't remember the name of the guy. I know the face, but I don't know the name. And that plotline never really gets resolved. You never see. You just see that they have the kid back at Los Alamos, and it was just very interesting that he didn't really play that up. And it's of course a stylistic choice, because Robert Oppenheimer was about his work and not really about his family. His family is kind of a backup character until it's not, with the communism trials in the 50s and stuff like that, and Emily Blunt completely steals that interrogation scene. Brilliant. Definitely why he casted Emily Blunt in the role of Kitty Oppenheimer. But overall, I quite enjoyed it. It's definitely the best film of the year. As of now, I'm gonna have to go back and watch The Prestige and The Dark Knight. But as of right now, this is sitting third in my Nolan ranking. So it's The Dark Knight, The Prestige, Oppenheimer, then Inception, then Interstellar, Memento, then Tenet, I believe, and then what's the Dunkirk, and then Insomnia, Insomnia is the only one I didn't really care for. It's not a bad film, but I just didn't really care about it. But check out the Letterboxd ranking again down in the description below if you really want to know about my rankings of all Christopher Nolan's filmography. But like I said, I give it a solid 9.5 out of 10. It's damn near perfect. It's not, but it's damn near perfect. So overall, I really enjoyed the film, and I'm going to be seeing it again very soon. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below if you guys have seen it. I love engaging with you guys, discussions and stuff like that. I love discussing films, action figures, whatever on this channel. And yeah, guys, that's it for this review. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And as always, keep consuming informative media. And oh yeah, Oppenheimer is now my favorite film of the year. It used to be John Wick 4, but John Wick 4 has been bumped down to number 2. But love this film, can't get enough of it. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.